The gates of Ghostland are opening in your home. Can you survive a day at the most haunted theme park in the world? Ghostland is a fully cooperative survival adventure game for 1 to 4 players. While it's based on the Ghostland horror novel by Duncan Ralston, you don't need to be familiar with the book to enjoy this horror experience. What you do need to know is that it's opening day at Ghostland, a theme park where guests can see actual ghosts. Of course, everything has gone horribly wrong, and now the ghosts are murdering all the guests. What's worse, the electric recurrence field generators, which keep the ghosts contained, have all broken down. If somebody doesn't get them fixed, it could spell the end of the park, or even the world. The goal of the game is to work together to vanquish ghosts, rebuild recurrence field generators that keep the ghosts at bay, and finally, face off against the head ghost himself, Rex Garrote. And with that in mind, let's take a look at how to play the game. This is going to be a detailed walkthrough on how to play Ghostland, so by the end of this video, you'll know everything you need in order to play Ghostland. Setup. Place the board in the center of your table. Then, each player chooses a character to play as. There are 8 playable characters, each with their own unique powers, so choose carefully. Once you've grabbed your standee and clipped them in with a standee clip, place your standee in the Garrote House attraction in the center of the board. Then, create a dice pool based on the number of players. These are the dice that you'll be using throughout the game. If you're playing solo, you're going to be throwing 20 dice, 5 of each color. In a 2-player game, each player creates a pool of 10 dice, 5 of 2 colors. For a 3-player game, grab 5 dice of 1 color, then 2 red dice. And for a 4-player game, each player just has 5 dice and then gets started with 1 item card randomly dealt. Shuffle each deck of cards separately. Take the item deck, place it at the bottom or side of the board, then deal out 4 cards. This is your marketplace where you can buy items on your turn. Next, shuffle the ghost deck. Keep the deck near the board. You're going to see a lot of ghosts during this game. The events deck is split into 3 numbered decks. Take 1 card from each of these numbers and build a small deck on the top of the board with event 1 on the top and event 3 on the bottom. Finally, take the Rex Garrote token and place it at the 100% space on the population track to show that no guests have been murdered. And just like that, you're ready to play Ghostland. Gameplay. Each round of the game is played over the course of 4 phases. The first phase is called the population phase. During this time, you're going to deal 1 ghost card out to every attraction on the board that does not have a ghost or recurrence field generator in it. Right now, all of our attractions are empty, so I'll be dealing out 5 ghost cards. It's a good idea to take note of what text is written on each ghost card as you do this. Some ghosts have special powers that only activate during this phase. Next comes the rolling phase. During this time, all players will collect the dice in their dice pool and roll them simultaneously. This determines what actions you can take during the round. Next comes the activation phase. This is where 90% of the actual gameplay happens. During this phase, each player will take turns activating their character and performing as many actions as they can to travel around the board, defeat ghosts, buy and use items, and build recurrence field generators. There is no set turn order for players. They can go in any order they like, on any turn. However, once a player begins their activation, they must finish it before another player can take their turn. Before we dig into what happens on the board, let's take a quick detour and check out what's on these dice. There are 5 different icons on each die, and each one does something different. First comes the shock stick. This is the most common icon you'll see because it's the primary way you'll be damaging ghosts in the game. Next comes the keeper suit. This is another die primarily used for attacking ghosts, though it's not quite as common as the shock stick. The hammer is mostly used to build recurrence field generators and buy items. Now, while the hand is sometimes used for fighting ghosts and buying items, its most notable feature is that once per activation, a player may discard one of these dice to heal the population by 5%. Finally, there is the ghost tram icon, which is used to move to adjacent attractions around the park. Now that we're familiar with what the dice do, let's take a look at what you're actually doing during your turn, and how to do it. The primary goal of the game is to build 3 recurrence field generators, but it's not quite that simple. For one, generators can only be built at an attraction that is free of ghosts, and each ghost still on the board at the end of a round kills guests at the park. If the park's living population ever drops past 0, the game is over and all players lose. So with that in mind, we probably need to start our turn planning out which ghosts are our top priority to vanquish. This guy looks pretty nasty, and his power kills 10% of guests during each round's cleanup phase, so let's prioritize on taking him out first. In order to vanquish a ghost, you must place dice from your dice pool onto these squares on their card directly. When every space is filled, the ghost is vanquished. The card is immediately placed into a discard pile near the board, and all dice spent go into your personal dice discard area. To help keep track, I like to keep all of my active dice to the left side of my character card, and all the discarded dice on the right. Once a ghost is vanquished, you will see a number of icons appear on the board where the ghost once was. If the corresponding dice can fill all 3 of these spots before the cleanup phase, we get to build a recurrence field generator by placing a token on that spot. Building a generator in a space does 2 things. First, it makes it impossible for ghosts to appear in that attraction for the rest of the game under any circumstances. Second, it triggers an event card during that round's cleanup phase. Event cards add new challenges to the game, and their effects are permanent. For example, this level 1 event makes it so that every additional recurrence field generator now requires a shock stick in order to complete. This card will remain here in clear view for all players for the rest of the game. So, let's do an example turn for a player. The first thing I'll do is look at my dice. I have 1 ghost tram to let me move to an adjacent attraction, so I'm going to immediately use that to move over here in order to battle this ghost. I place 2 shock sticks and 1 keeper suit on the card, which vanquishes the ghost. I now have 1 die left over, which I will use to purchase an item card. Now that I've spent all my dice, I end my activation and let the next player go. Speaking of items, let's take a closer look at how those work. Each player can own up to 3 items at a time. Items are purchased, much like ghosts are defeated, by placing dice directly on the card. Some items have a swirl icon on them, which means any die can be placed on them in order to purchase. There are 2 types of items. Some are single use and are immediately discarded. Then there are ongoing items, which can be used over and over again for the rest of the game. Some items can be incredibly powerful or make you more versatile, like allowing you to trade out undesirable dice for others. There's one last thing before we move on to the cleanup phase, and that's character cards. At the top of each character card, there is a unique ability they can use throughout the game. Let's take a look at Nico, the park security guard. Once per activation, he can turn any single player's die face into a shock stick to help them battle ghosts. But if you look below that unique power, you'll see that every character has a number of additional abilities that are shared among all players. The first ability happens during the rolling phase and allows players to discard a die from their dice pool in order to re-roll the rest. This can be done multiple times as long as you have a die to discard. Next, during the activation phase, a player may discard any 2 dice from their pool in order to move to an adjacent attraction. This is very helpful if you didn't roll any ghost trams. Once per activation, you may donate 1 of your dice to a player in the same attraction as you. This comes in handy when you need to split up to take down multiple ghosts in a round. We already mentioned this earlier, but once per activation, a player may discard a hand die in order to restore 5% of the guest population. Again, they can only do this once per activation. Finally, during the cleanup phase, you may bank 1 of your unspent dice from the turn, meaning next round, you'll begin by already having that die in your dice pool. You will not roll it with the rest of your dice, and you'll just add it straight into your dice pool. And on that note, let's talk about the cleanup phase. This is a very brief period at the end of the round where you calculate ghosts' damage to guests and make sure everything is reset and ready for a new round. First, look at each ghost on the board. For every ghost in an attraction, deal 5% damage to the guest population. And if there's a ghost located in Garrote House, deal 10 damage instead. And it doesn't stop there. Some ghosts kill additional guests during this phase as indicated on their cards. Move the Garrote token down the population track as dictated by the remaining ghosts. Then, return any borrowed dice back to their owners and move all discarded dice back over to their dice pool, refreshed and ready for the next round of the game. Any dice that are left on ghosts that have not been vanquished remain on those ghosts. You will not be able to get those dice back until that ghost is vanquished. However, any dice left in an empty space in a failed attempt to build a recurrence field generator do go back to players, and that space will be filled by a fresh ghost next round. Finally, check to see if any recurrence field generators were built this round. If they were, reveal an event card now. Once the cleanup phase is complete, start a new round in the population phase. Finally, let's talk about the end of the game. During the cleanup phase, after a third recurrence field generator has been built, grab the Rex Garrote card from the box and place him in the Garrote House attraction. Rex is the master of all the ghosts in the park, and you will need to defeat him in order to save the day. In order to defeat Garrote, players must not only place all the required dice on his card, you must additionally complete whatever goal is listed on his event card. If you can defeat him before the guest population drops below 0, you win the game. And that is how you play Ghostland, the board game. Please note that for experts, there are additional difficulties that make the game harder, but you can find those on the back page of the rulebook. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy your trip to Ghostland.